I'm new.
Yo, I never get this right. I kid you not, no matter how many times I try to do this right, I never fucking do it right. Ever.
Well, as you know, Patrick's been really busy with his new career choice, and initially podcasting was his hobby, and then it became our hobby. But he took care of everything, so I was just like, oh, he's taking care of everything. It's fine. But now he's not really home much anymore. So I'm in the process of learning the producing and everything like that. But yeah, I'm a little slow. So.
Oh! Trust me. I was recording with somebody last week, and literally I'm sitting there going, "What am I doing wrong? What the F is this?" And it's like, "Oh, you have to allow them to use their audio." Okay, that's what it is. And then
it's all like, yeah, it's definitely a learning process, to say the least.
Call me Old Man Wade.
Damn you, old man! Wait.
Old ass man.
Shut up, old man. You smell like fart.
No! Man!
Old man.
He's so old, he got a podcast on cassette.
Fuck, you're old.
Damn it, Wade!
And welcome to the Old Man Wade Show. I am your host, the God of Stub and the Lord of Laughter, Old Man Wade. And the Superior Super Woke Hobby is actually away right now. He's actually at work saving the world. So he's not going to be here right now. He hasn't been on the show for a bit, but even if he never does a show ever again, it will always be the Old Man Wade Show featuring Super Woke Hobby. I just wanted to get that out the way just because it was something I was thinking about and I want to make sure that the world know. He'll be on the show again, but he's got some personal stuff going on. It's exciting personal stuff that I won't announce. I'll wait for him to announce it himself. But I have somebody on it who's been on the show, I think, twice. We've recorded 2 episodes in one day. Her husband is out doing fantastic things that make me very happy every time I think about it. But I'm lucky enough to have I was almost called you the Marlon Brando of Merle.
I mean, that works too.
The Michael Phelps of Merlot, Mrs. Ashes Von Nightmare. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastically well. The Marlon Brando of Merlot.
The Marlon Brando of Merlot. You know, he's actually one of those actors who I'm surprised doesn't have some sort of liquor attached to his name.
Huh.
You know, like I don't believe he ever, you know, sometimes actors kind of, as like a side project, you know, George Clooney has done it, Ryan Reynolds, Francis Ford Coppola has his own vineyard. You know, as like a side project, they get into the liqueurs. And I'm surprised that Marlon Brando is not one of those actors who ever, you know, branched out and got into the libations, or, you know, has a drink named after him or something like that.
I had to do a quick Google. He actually does not have any alcohol. I'm actually really shocked by that. Now here's the thing: would you go with the Island of Dr. Merlot? No, nothing.
Okay.
Or would he go with something like a whiskey, like a Godfather whiskey? What the hell was his name in The Godfather? I've actually never seen that movie. Yes, I know how horrible that is.
Neither have I. Neither have I. That's something that I've been meaning to. It's something I've been meaning to rectify because I actually do really like mob movies. But I don't know. You know what? Probably a whiskey or something. I'm trying to think, like something Italian, maybe like an Italian red.
Yeah.
You know, he's gonna make you a Tuscan, you know, a super Tuscan you can't refuse, or something like that. That was really bad. You could edit that out.
No, that's the title. That was worse. That was worse than my Merlot Brando.
See, at least yours rhymes. It's catchy. It's fun.
No. A Tuscan you can't refuse is absolutely perfect, and that unless you say something even better than that, that's the title of the episode right there. You got an X amount of time to make that happen. Until then, that's what we're doing.
Oh, now I gotta outdo myself.
Well, I see you have your drink in hand. I have my as what I called my podcast spinach. I'm actually going to stop I've actually been slowly starting to stop drinking, so I'm probably not going to drink again until Saturday when I have some friends over to record. But until then, I'm cutting back on the libations just because I do have a demon in my family, and since I haven't been working for a while, I don't want to start getting into the habit of drinking like just because I'm off and alone with my thoughts. So.
Yeah, and it's honestly very mature and very responsible of you to recognize that and to take those steps, because not everybody does that.
You know what's funny is I had an epiphany last week, or earlier this week I should say. I'm sitting at home. No, it was whenever it was. It don't matter when it was. I was sitting at home and I really wanted to drink, but I couldn't figure out why. It's like I literally had nothing to do. There were no projects pending. There was no recording that needed to be done. There's nothing. I had just the day to myself, and I was like, you know what? I want to drink, which is fine. But like you know, one beer and I could be done. Found myself drinking like 4 or 5 of them within an hour. I was like, why the fuck am I drinking like this? And it was a realization that like I just didn't want to be alone with my thoughts. It wasn't even like bad thoughts. I just didn't want to be alone with them. And like, Valkyrie was out doing clinical. I was just home, and I was like, fuck. So that's the reason why I'm drinking like that, because I just don't like being alone with my thoughts. And I was like, okay, we've nailed down one of the problems. We'll see what happens next when I go to therapy and talk to my therapist about that.
That's the reason why I stick to wine, is because I used to have an issue with alcohol and pretty much the same situation that you're describing, and I can control myself better with wine. Yeah. I know what my limit is with wine, and I've grown to really just love and appreciate what wine is and the wine process, and but I think it's really I'm proud of you for recognizing that it was becoming a pattern, and to putting an end to it, and to kind of nipping it in the bud, so to speak, before it became a bigger issue.
I also have to, and you know me, I'll always throw a lot of my positive attributes to my wife, because specifically, like, she always like says like, "Are you okay? You've been drinking a lot lately. Do you need to drink? Why are you drinking?" So she asks these questions without coming off condescending or judgy, because like she wants to make sure that like I don't end up like my mother, who has like sponge brain essentially. And so it's a positive thing. It's like I don't really drink. We had like last night we went out and had a good night and we drank a little bit, but it was like kind of like an impromptu night out. Mm-hmm. And we drank and like we didn't get shit faced, and we came home and we continued the celebration. But honestly, it was more fun. It's become more fun drinking with people than it is drinking by myself, because like while I'm drinking, like I don't really have. It's not as fun, like, you know what I mean, when you just kind of... For me, it's not that fun, because it's one thing when I'm at a bar and I'm kind of, like, by myself and I'm kind of, like, people watching. I can converse with the bartenders or the bouncers, but just kind of sitting and drinking while I'm, like, just watching TV, it doesn't really have that same effect that it once did.
I actually haven't been drunk since 2019, before the pandemic.
Well, when you and Patsy came over here.
Actually, yes, that was
really?
The last time. Yes, yeah, because I'm more of a social drinker than anything else. I recognize my limits when I'm home, and sometimes I get a little too carried away when I'm out. When you're having fun.
Yes. And
you're in the moment, and you're with fabulous company. It's just so easy to just kind of forget your limits, and forget, you just kind of become really vulnerable, and that's what happens. But also, I've gotten to the point where, I am older now, and I do not recover as quickly or as smoothly as I once did, and I'm just so fucking busy. I don't have time to be hungover.
Yeah, I remember that's another thing. Like, recovering from a hangover just isn't what it used to be. Like, I used to be able to drink, eat a peanut butter sandwich before I went to bed, and then no hangover. Now it's like
like a bottle of water, a couple of Tylenol, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Now it's just like now I'm sitting there with my CPAP machine. I'm breathing in alcohol breath the entire night.
Like it's not cute. It's just not cute anymore.
No, absolutely not. I'm done. But like I'm gonna probably have this 4-pack, and which Marie always reminds me it's 7.8 per alcohol per volume. I'm gonna try not to drink it all, And because she reminds me, goes, you're drinking the equivalent of a 12-pack of Bud Light, even though it's only 4, because they're tall boys, and But I'm working on it. And it's funny, she sent me this Alanis Morissette song, which I've come to, love, because as my wife always says, I'm a 12-year-old emo, 14-year-old girl, and I love emo music. And, she'll always play, Alanis Morissette, and she sent me the reasons I drink song, and I was like, oh, I understand this so fucking much.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even that, and then realizing that even my eating became a substitute for my drinking. So, I'll get Uber Eats if I'm sitting by myself, because it's I'm home by myself, and I have nothing else better to do, so I'll eat. It's not like I'm drinking, in a sense I'm just picking, and again, Valkyrie pointed this out, it's I'm just switching one vice for another, and it's still the same kind of same kind of vibe and the sugars that you're getting from the alcohol. And I didn't even notice it until she pointed it out. And when I'm angry, I eat or I drink. And when I don't drink as much when I'm angry anymore, especially because I'll drink wine if I'm angry because it's a happy alcohol, but I can't drink vodka period because it makes me angry. But beer and anger doesn't really have that same kind of it's a negative effect for me. So I've been learning a little bit more about myself since I stopped drinking in January. I stopped drinking all of January and into some of February. So I've slowed down since, but just learning about myself and why I drink and just the other urges that have come when I'm not drinking. So these are just things that I have been thinking about recently.
Yeah, I feel you. I've been back when the pandemic first started, and we were kind of all quarantined, and life came to a really just abrupt stop. I too, I found myself drinking a little too much, buying wine by the box. I was eating way too much, and you just kind of realize. And then, you're thinking, oh, this is only going to last for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, so it's not a big deal. Well, then 2 years into it, you're like, oh, shit. This has become a habit, and I kind of need to do something. I recently went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, yeah, so you gained some weight. And I'm like, well, I don't know if you know this, but we've kind of been through this pandemic. Years and the world kind of shut down, and, I haven't been as active as I used to, and I, didn't go to the gym at all, and all of this stuff. Which really all boils down to a bunch of excuses, but, life can sometimes actually do that. Life can be an excuse. But no, I commiserate with you. I empathize with you. I feel you. I'm going through that right now too, trying to make a complete lifestyle change, where things haven't quite gotten back to the point of I hate the word normal, so I'm going to use the air quotes, the air bunnies, if you will, until life gets back to true normal. Yeah. Trying to adapt and trying to find something that works.
Yeah, seeing people without masks is weird to me. It was funny. Even in some of my dreams, I go, "Why is this person not wearing a mask?" And then I'm like, "Wait, I'm dreaming. I'm clearly flying right now, so there's no reason for me to think this is the real world."
Yeah, it's there's a lot there, and I have a lot of thoughts and opinions about the way that everything is progressing in the world right now. But I don't want to. I'll save that for another day, because I feel like we're on the same page when it comes to certain things. But yeah, it's kind of a downer conversation to have, really, and then you start to really despise humanity even more, and then it puts you in a bad mood. So, and that's not what this podcast is.
Sometimes it is, but you know what? Fuck it. Let's do something fun. Tell me about drag queens. Let's get right into it.
Oh, Hunty, what do you want to know about drag queens?
First off, let me tell you, I don't know if I've ever told you the story about when me and Valkyrie were in New York. It was our first vacation, and we were shit-faced in Times Square. And we're walking around, and I look over to where those steps, the famous New York red steps are, and so I grab Valkyrie by her shoulders, and I go, she goes, "What?" I go, "I'm going to turn you around, but I need you to be calm. There are drag queens behind you." And I turned her around, and it was the Colombian drag queen pageant.
Pageant girls.
She lost her collective shit and just ran to them. And like we sat, like she took pictures, I took pictures. One of them threw their leg on me. I grabbed their leg. It was just it was a fucking blast. And they were talking makeup and all this other stuff and blah blah blah. And so Maria, he's saying her name, but Valkyrie's had a not that she cares, but Valkyrie's had this love for drag queens forever, and I don't faithfully watch RuPaul's Drag Race, but when it's on, I do find myself watching it, being intrigued by the stuff they come up with. And so it's one of those things where it's just like, I don't understand the culture, but I love it, especially when we go to P-Town and there's like, and there's drag karaoke and just the parades and everyone's just dressed up, looking their best, and I fucking love it. So that was my intro to drag queen and stuff like that. It was all Valkyrie. What was yours?
So I was introduced to the world of drag back in 1995. A little film came out starring Patrick Swayze and John Leguizamo and Wesley Snipes called To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. And I was just so enthralled, intrigued. I loved it. They were glamorous. Now, my fun fact, we actually just talked about these characters on Throwdown Thursday. So I kind of got.
I'm sorry. What did you see it? What did you talk about it on?
On this little show called Throwdown Thursday. I'm sure you'll hear about it a few times, but it is a show that I host, and we could talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, back to drag queens and their fabulousness. I was just intrigued. You know, growing up, my mother was Patrick Swayze is her free pass. So I watched all of the Patrick Swayze films.
Yeah.
I was watching Roadhouse at an age where I probably shouldn't have watched Roadhouse. Dirty Dancing. So, you know, we were watching To Wong Fu because Patrick Swayze was in it. And in the beginning of the film, they're at this pageant. And they're ready to announce the winner, crown the winner. And from above, from the rafters, this beautiful, blonde, black, statuesque goddess in this sequined Confederate flag gown named Rachel Tensions just drops from the ceiling. And she's there. And it's RuPaul. And I was just done. I'm like, who is this? I need to know everything. And around that time, Supermodel of the World had come out. You know, her, she had a talk show with VH1 for a while, co-hosted by Michelle Visage, who, if you watch Drag Race, you know exactly who that is. And I was hooked. I knew who Divine was before I ever watched a John Waters film. I was just really intrigued by this culture. And then in college, the local, the LGBTQ group on campus, I believe they were called like 1 in 10 Friends. They hosted a drag show, and I was like, oh my God, to all my friends, I'm like, we got to go. We have got to go.
Yeah. And
I remember, you know, my friends were just kind of like, okay, fine, whatever, we'll go. And the entire 2 hours, I lived my best life. There was this one queen who dressed up as Carol Burnett from Annie and did the little girls act, and she was like acting like she was drunk, and she ended up giving a lap dance to my friend who was sitting next to me, and she was just so gorgeous. And I was just like, who are you? I want to be you. Take me under your wing. And that was it. And then shortly after that, RuPaul's Drag Race came out, and, you know, now we have the drag phenomenon that, you know, we see today. So it's been something that I've been intrigued with for a long time, and in my adult life has just kind of really facilitated that intrigue, and like I can't get enough of drag. I love it so much.
You know, it's funny you mentioned To Wong Fu. I actually saw that movie in the movie theater with my grandmother, and there are two specific scenes that stick in my head. One was Wesley Snipes in the very beginning of the movie putting on their costume, and him kicking his legs up in the air because he was so excited about the stockings I think he had on. And the very end of it, where Patrick Swayze and Wesley Snipes like kind of opened up as John Leguizamo walked out like a fucking queen. like just proud of everything that he had become, and just like and John Leguizamo is one of the actors, I swear, who never gets the praise and the praise that he deserves for being as great as he is. But I remember him being like playing this like really insecure character, and then like blossoming before our eyes, and then everything with Patrick Swayze. Like that, fuck, I might watch that movie later. I really might watch that movie later. It was, but you know what's funny? And you bring up RuPaul. I remember seeing RuPaul work. You know what I mean. So like I remember that song, and I didn't understand. My mother was just like, just wants to dress like a woman, and it never really like, it didn't really like. I didn't think much of it. Like, you know what I mean? Because I was super fucking young. I didn't really think anything of it. It just kind of left it as it was. But I remember he was on In the House with LL Cool J, and he came on as just his regular persona, like his regular, like without the
RuPaul Charles, yes.
RuPaul Charles. I didn't know that was his name. And then he showed LL Cool J her, like, you know, the queen that RuPaul is, the empress that RuPaul is. And this was around a time where, regrettably, I was living in a place where being gay or being a drag wasn't acceptable. But I will say that was one of the few times in my early life where I remember not really caring about what the person looked like as opposed to like what they were doing. And me and Valkyrie have had this conversation a million times about how RuPaul was one of the first people that we can remember who were just like really just out and proud and really just like it was. She became like this pop culture icon for being whoever they wanted to be, and it's and I don't mean to say it like this, but it's fabulous that she really gets just to be herself. And like RuPaul Drag Race is gonna go down as one of the greatest TV shows ever because people can't get enough of it, and it reaches past all genres. It's not just women. It's not just the LGBTQ community who know and watch the show. Everybody watches it because RuPaul is just that fucking great.
You know, the reason why I love drag so much is because I'm a huge fan of people realizing who they are, realizing their authentic truth, and living their best life. And that's why I'm an ally to the LGBTQ plus community. That is a hill that I will die on, fighting for their rights. And there's something about drag that is just, I love pretty things. I love glamorous things. And that's what drag queens are. But there's so much more than that too. It's an art. It's an expression. And, you touching base on the fact that it's not just gay men dressing up in drag. It's everything. Drag is for everyone. There's also the show called Dragula that has increased in popularity. The 4th season just aired on Shudder. It's more of a horror take on, so think RuPaul's Drag Race, but with a horror edge. Hosted by the Boulet brothers, who are absolutely fabulous. And fun fact, they're not actually brothers, they're real life partners. But their whole thing is, drag is filth, glamour, and horror. And they really embrace just the entire spectrum that drag is. And one of the queens from the most recent season, she is a biological female. She considers herself a female impersonator. And my favorite part of her is her name, which is Sigourney Beaver. And right? And I just fucking love that so much. RuPaul's Drag Race just kind of made history, so to speak, because the first straight male was a contestant. His name was Matty Morphosis. And he looked like some, college rock, Hootie and the Blowfish listening, country bumpkin out of drag. But in drag, he's fucking fierce. And he brings a different perspective. And, what he said was, as a gay person, they tell you that there is no right way to be gay. You can express yourself and do whatever you need to do to find out who you are. Yeah. But they don't tell you that when you're straight. You know, there's really only, they tell you that there's one way to be straight. And that's not the case. Like that's not real life. You know, there's a spectrum to the LGBTQ community, but there's also a spectrum to, you know, the heterosexual community as well. And it's something that I don't think gets discussed enough. You know, I mean, we put a label on straight and that's it. And we expect, you know, especially straight men to act a specific way.
Yes.
And what happens if a straight man is more feminine? You know, we want to slap a gay label on him, but that's not always, you know, that's not always it. You know, I know in the 90s we had this thing called Queer Eye for the straight guy, and now it's back as just Queer Eye because they you know, are all encompassing. They don't do it for just one specific gender. But, you know, Queer Eye for the straight guy in the 90s coined the term metrosexual, which was, you know, a man who was more effeminate, you know, or what have you. But, you know, when you're straight, you know, people just expect you, especially, like I said, men, to be a specific way. And it's so much more than that. And that's why, you know, having a straight man on Drag Race, a straight man, you know, doing drag, presenting as a woman, but then going home to his girlfriend every night, you know, is so intriguing because it's breaking down those barriers and it's creating conversations that need to be had.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny you bring up like the norms or the social norms when it comes to being like straight or something like that. Well, let's take pegging for example. And someone will go, yo, that's gay. You want like a woman to be behind you and fuck you and da 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 da. Just like, why don't you just let a dude do it? Like, I'm like, man, I just would rather a woman do it. Not me per se, but that's what a person could be saying. It's just like, I don't like men, but I like my butthole played with. So therefore, I found a woman who's okay with me doing it. And that automatically makes them gay. Where it's like, nah, that's not necessarily the case because, like you said, there's spectrum to everything, which is kind of cool that the LGBTQ plus community has picked the rainbow for their movement and for their flag, because it really does come in, like, everything in life really is just a spectrum of what we are, and it's nothing is ever as black and white as everything. Some things are gray, some things are red, some things are yellow, like, you know what I mean? So Superwoke said something kind of funny, not funny but something kind of interesting about a year ago, where he said, if it wasn't for certain things in life, he said he felt that like everybody would be pansexual because a lot of these norms wouldn't exist if they weren't created in order to control people. And I kind of agree. Like, I'm a straight man who can see another man and go, oh, they're handsome. Oh, they're good looking. Do I want to fuck them? No, it's just not my thing. But I can look at that and say like, oh, this is an attractive man. Like, you know what I mean? And to some people, like, yo, that's gay. I'm like what? Admiring something that looks good, like, that makes me gay? Like, look at me and Valkyrie watched the latest season of Tyra Banks's Next Top Model, and there was a deaf dude on there. I'm like, damn, he's a good looking dude.
Niall DeMarco.
Yeah. Yep. I was like,
yep.
He's a very attractive dude. And I can say that confidently without wondering anybody, because it's like I also don't really give a shit either. But again, like imagine trying to do this 25 years ago and have this conversation may have been different. I may have been given a label, as opposed to now it was just like, give me a label, I don't really give a shit. But like there was also a lot of fear when you're younger and you just don't, and you're trying to fit in. You don't even really know yourself yet. So it's a different time, and I'm actually, something I attribute the generation under us for is they just don't give a shit.
But, you know, I kind of piggybacking on what you said, you know, I have this theory that everyone's a little queer. Some are just more queer than others. And, you know, I don't necessarily feel that I need to put a label on my queerness, but I understand why some people do, and I understand, you know, I respect that. The Gen Z generation, because I'm assuming you're a millennial like me, an elder millennial, so to speak.
Yeah, an elder millennial, yes.
You know, which I love the term elder millennial because it makes me feel like an elder god.
Oh,
we are the elder gods of the millennials. So next time you think somebody's calling you old when they called you an elder millennial, fuck them. You are an elder god. But anyways, Yeah, I have this theory that, everyone's a little queer. The Gen Z generation, they are coming up with new labels almost by the minute, and I love them for that. I love them that, that they're trying to, they're so accepting that they're trying to find a word for everything. I don't necessarily think that there needs to be, but if that's how they feel, if that's how they feel like they need to handle things in order for acceptance to happen, then I'm all for it. I'm all for it. If you feel like you need to label yourself a specific way in order to understand yourself, your inner workings, how you are, how you express yourself, like that's fantastic. I mean, me, I label myself as fabulous. I wish the F box that I check off, male, female. No, the F stands for fabulous. Thank you.
But yeah, I can actually understand that, and it comes to one of those things where I don't really necessarily like labels with everything, but I also understand that some people may either need or want a label. I work with a non-binary person who's really helped me understand a lot of things, and I thank them every time they send me something funny, or like they say, hey, can you take a look at this, or hey, did you know this? And so it helps me a lot. They put me on to She-Ra on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, I love that damn show. And then someone said, this is the funniest shit ever. Someone was like, someone said, hey, let's do She-Ra, but with lesbians. But I love the show so damn much because it wasn't just there's a few people out there, the gay agenda. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Just enjoy the damn show. But I like how much representation there was. There was non-binary characters. There was gay characters. There were straight characters. They were like, it was just, it really brought in like everybody of every size, shape, skin color, sexual orientation. And it was just an idea of like love from episode 1 to the final episode, I think season 6. And it was absolutely fantastic. And I think that everybody should watch it. Anyway, so before we move on to the next topic, I have a question for you. Who is your favorite drag queen other than RuPaul? You can't say RuPaul.
Oh God, I have to pick just one.
I'll give you 3.
Oh, fuck me. Only 3?
Fine. You want 5?
God damn it. Okay, I'm gonna give you. Okay, I'm gonna put it this way. Aside from RuPaul, and I'm gonna throw Divine in there too. Aside from RuPaul and Divine, because those two are really just kind of upper echelon. You really can't touch them, like for who they are and what they've done for drag. Oh God, this is such a loaded question. How much time do we have? No, I'm gonna have to say the Boulay brothers are at the top of my list. If you have not seen Dragula, I highly suggest.
Hold on real quick, Ashes. What was the name of that drag queen we saw in P-Town?
Oh, I can't think of her name right now. I'm sorry.
Oh, because we're talking drag queens, and I was gonna actually tell the story about how she's hitting on me until you gave her the stink eye.
Oh God, I can't remember which season she was on either.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'll see if I can find it. But
you remember? Okay, do you remember the hair color?
She is Asian, brown hair. If you say her name, I'll know.
Okay.
Asian? Sure that we're black?
Manila?
No, she was Asian. No, it wasn't Manila. Like, maybe Filipino. She was... I can't think of her name. It's gonna kill me. I should know this.
How long ago was it?
Was it Taj?
Raja?
Raja, thank you.
Raja, there we go. That was it.
It took me a minute.
So
she won season 3 of Drag Race.
Yes. And then I fucked the shit out of my husband while we were in P-Town. Like, hardcore. Like, everybody around noticed.
Like, I'm like...
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, no, and my niece was like, you're going to have to fight for your husband. And I was like, I mean, I might just let her win. I can't beat that.
I'm glad I decided to share that story with you, because I was like, Maria, I'm getting hit on. Like, it was funny because like it was like eye contact the entire show. I'm like, I think I'm being hit on. But yeah, it was actually my first drag show, and it was fucking fantastic. So,
I took Patrick to his first drag show last year. So he's kind of like you. He doesn't religiously watch Drag Race or Dragula or whatever. But if it's on and he's in the room, like, you know, he likes it. He likes it. He's very enthusiastic. You know, he appreciates it. He has his favorite queens. But I took him to his first. It was a drive-in drag show. So they had the stage. It was set up in a parking lot of a shopping center, and they had this huge stage with these big monitors and everything, so you could see. And you literally like drove. It was a drive-in. You drove your car in, and you know you could stand outside. You could set up lawn chairs or whatever, and you watched the show, and it was fabulous. Oh, I thought I was living my best life. I look over and Patrick was just like he was living his best life. Let me tell you.
Your first drag, like I feel like every man's first drag show is like a special like event because you're just like, this is the coolest shit ever. Like
he was just, you know, the costumes and the choreography and you just everything, the overall aesthetic. You know, I mean, there was one girl who had this trident that she set on fire because she was outside. You know, so she did this whole like fire spitting thing.
Oh, shit.
He was just, yeah, exactly. I mean, Violet Chachki does this whole burlesque act, and she gets into some of the classic stuff, including fire breathing. And she was just incredible. And she has this teeny tiny waist because she is corseted for the gods. And I mean, he was all over himself. He even, we went up to the merch table. He bought himself a rosé shirt. That's a queen. She usually wears pink and stuff. He was just living his best life to the nth degree. To the point where we're actually going to another drag show. It's the Dragula show in May. And he keeps saying, he's like, when is the show? When is the show? And I got us VIP tickets too, so we're going to be able to meet some of the queens and do the whole photo ops and stuff like that. He's really excited. So it's nice to have a partner who may not be as into it as much as I am, but is very enthusiastic about it.
We were in Vegas. You brought up Burlesque. We went to the Zombie Burlesque show in Vegas, and it was, oh my God, like I want to go back and watch it again. It was, the host was fantastic. The acts were fantastic. And during the intermission, they were giving out free Jello shots. And then but before the Jello shots came out, it was a box of Jello and somebody in a box of Jello costume and someone in a bottle of vodka costume, and they like were just essentially fucking on stage. And then the Jello shots came out. She goes, "Hey, if you want to know how Jello shots are made," and I was like, "Oh, that's great." So before we move on to the next subject, this crap. You should know well enough to know that I really have no fucking shame. So in the middle of the show, the host goes, "Does any guy here have a name for their penis?" And I go, "I do." And he goes, "Who's that?" I'm like, "Oh shit, he called me on." He goes, "Who's that?" And I go, "Oh, me." He goes, "Stand up." He goes, "Okay." He goes, "Hey, he goes, "You have a name for your penis?" He goes, "Yes." He goes, "What do you call it?" I go, "Oh, the Hammer of Thor." And then Maria, drunk as hell, goes, "He does!" And so he just busts out laughing. And then every 5 minutes later, he goes, "I mean, it's no Hammer of Thor." And I was just, this motherfucker. Ah, God, I cannot wait to go back to Vegas because I really want to go back to the Zombie Burlesque show. Was so fucking dope. And there was this contortionist, and contortionist, like, just the body movement is like, it's so like creepy, but so cool watching this guy do this stuff in such rhythm, like the way he was moving his head to the beat and like shaping his body. And even though like you're like, oh, you can't stop watching because it's so damn dope.
There's one place I haven't been, and I need to go. Vegas. I've never been to Vegas.
That shocks me. I feel like you'd love and hate Vegas all at once. I think you would love Vegas for everything that it is, like the bright lights and the art, the shows, and all that. But a lot of the people there are fucking assholes. Like, they just... but you know what's funny about it is? It's not as bad as New York, though. Like, people won't just bump into you and that's that. Like, you know what I mean? It can get kind of weird when people are drunk, but for the most part, Vegas is fun. Vegas is absolutely... I've been twice. The next time I go, me and Valkyrie go, I know the next time we go, we'll either be going by ourselves or we'll be going with people that we know we can have a good time with. Mm-hmm. And like, but Vegas is so much fun. Like, just the walking, the drinking, the eating, the people watching. Oh, the people watching. Vegas is fun. If we could set up a double date Vegas trip, I would absolutely freaking love it.
Oh, I would go to Vegas with you guys. We would have a blast.
Yeah, we would. Yeah, we absolutely would.
Damn it, Wade!